This podcast not sponsored by Mountain Dew. Is this a podcast? I don't know. So I've kind of dropped the ball in releasing stuff on a timely schedule these days. Like I kind of fell apart, last month or so. I was trying to get like a bunch of RWBY content out for, coinciding with the release of Volume 3, and that didn't happen, at all. The most that I did was the acoustic thing, which I'm not sure if I'm, proud of or not. It was a shaky, thing. I don't know. So one of the things that I was planning to do was, this video about, the hype surrounding Volume 3 currently. And I started, I should also probably address that, I was also addressing some of the concerns that I had for Volume 3 and a lot of the other, ancillary, RWBY stuff that we're getting. And I started to write it. And it was turning into a really mean-spirited video. It was just me harshly criticizing RWBY, which I really didn't want to do. I really don't know, how it turned from, a hype video into me criticizing, some of the stuff that's going on recently. But I don't want to be, the channel that rips on everyone, because, these are great people making this thing that I love, and I don't want to offend anyone. But then again, I also do have some, notable concerns that it's totally okay for a fan to have. The first thing that I really need to address was, at RTX, I wasn't able to actually go to RTX. They released an unfinished bit of animation that was I think that was when they revealed Team Auburn, and people went crazy over Auburn. At least I think it was Auburn. It might have been another team. And so, yeah, it was Team RWBY fighting Team Auburn, I think. And it was a bunch of, half-done animation. And then a video circulated on Nerdist, and then subsequently on Reddit. So I saw it on Nerdist, and I'm not sure whether or not that was, the finished animation, or if it was the same, unfinished animation video that was shown at RTX. So, the entire time I was watching it, I was saying, good God, I hope that's unfinished. It was, rocky all over the place. I don't want to, harshly criticize. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. But a lot of it looked like it didn't sync up with the ground. A lot of it didn't flow, very fast-paced. And so it makes me think, well, Shane probably was not the one responsible for that. And that might have that fight suffer. I don't know. And another concern that I had in that video was the backgrounds, because it's we are so entitled as a fan base for RWBY, because the first thing that everyone was clamoring for after Volume 1 was two things. It was get rid of the shadow people, and these backgrounds are too distracting. And what do we rave about as soon as Volume 2 comes out? These backgrounds are boring. And the models on the background characters aren't as good as the models for the main characters. I find that to be, really, really funny. And so, the backgrounds that were shown in that video were very, very vibrant, to say the least. Like, it sometimes, when watching that video, visibly, like, it was jarring trying to not look at the background. Like, I had my eyes hurt, like, a little bit when I was focusing on the fight that I was supposed to be focusing on, because, like, the background was just so vibrant. Man, that ice. I don't know. Maybe, again, maybe it's just, like, it was missing a bit of polish that would have, fixed it or something. So, that's, like, my main gripe with that. I mean, like, even if that fight was finished animation and is, like, left in the full thing, it still wouldn't be, like, that bad. I mean, there are some funny bits to it. It was, like, a slightly more comedic fight here and there. And there were definitely good aspects to it. But it wasn't, like, paced very well. When I was writing that, video that I've now decided not to do, I said that it suffered from Naruto disease, which is when, in a fight scene, you focus on the reaction to the attack more than you focus on the attack itself. It's like you focus on, gasp, that character did that. I don't know. But then again, it had been, I don't know. Moving on, because again, I don't want to, like, hurt any feelings, because RWBY is awesome. The people who work on RWBY is awesome. I felt that that fight could have been a bit more polished. But again, ultimately, even if it, is the final product and that's the fight that we get when the show comes out, it still wouldn't be that bad. I mean, like, the fact that I refer to that as Naruto disease, and I can still put up with that from Naruto, I can deal with it a little bit in RWBY if it happens. It's totally fine. The second thing, though, this is what caused me to realize that I was, like, going really off on a rant, like, that caused me to, not do this video, was... So So I've done a Let's Play on the original version of RWBY Grim Eclipse that was made by Jordan Scott before he got picked up by Rooster Teeth to turn it into a full game. And then once that happened, I did a Let's Play of the first pre-alpha build that they circulated for sponsors only, like on Christmas of that year. I think it was last year. It was last year. I'm dumb. So I did a Let's Play in that, and then there was a version that came out after that, and I didn't do a Let's Play in it because I felt that I was, like, really, like, ragging on it. I didn't really like it that much. I don't know, because, like, the first one was really, really fun. Like, even, a bunch of waves in, it got, kind of a bit repetitive, but it was still fun because, it's like, am I gonna actually survive this wave? I don't know. There was also a lot of, like, strategy to it. Like, you couldn't, just rush in, click, 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 click. Spamming E was, like, really OP, but you still had ammo that you would run out of, and you can't, like, easily equip ammo during battle. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I remember that you can't, do it as quickly if you're not in between waves. So you had to, like, if you ran out of ammo, you would have to, like, risk, especially in the high-level waves when they take, like, basically your entire health bar, in a couple of hits. You would have to risk, venturing into that group of Grim and, just slicing all of them up and hoping that they don't land any attacks on you, and crossing your fingers and praying that they drop an ammo crate that you could use to get through the rest of that round. And, like, the fact that specials were unlocked, progressively through how many waves that you beat, and they took different amounts of aura, and they had different areas of effects. That felt like it was really planned. And then the pre-alpha version was circulated, and you could tell that it was like, the start of a new build. A lot of things were changed. There was no spam E. That was, like, completely gone from that version. And I liked that because, there was no relying on it. And there was a reason that you couldn't rely on it, because you weren't fighting in groups in that version. You were fighting single Beowulfs. And, say what you will about it. It was, I seem to remember it being pretty engaging. I haven't gone back and watched that Let's Play, and that version of the game is no longer available to anyone. I don't know if they even still have it at Rooster Teeth. They probably do. I don't know. But I still thought it was, like, really fun. Because there was still, that bit of strategy. Like, if you just, rushed in. Because I immediately, when I, like, started playing that, I remember specifically, I rushed into that first Beowulf encounter, and I forgot, it's not that I forgot, but I didn't know the controls, because the controls was, like, slightly different. There was no spam E. That caught me really off guard. So it's like, you rush in, and you still get your balls rocked, like you did in the first one, but you could still, fight back. And mainly what you were fighting in that build was the glitches, because that's basically why they circulated it to the public. Like, find the glitches. And I was really excited that I posted a glitch on Twitter, and Jordan Scott replied to it, and I was really, really thrilled about that. Man, I love Jordan Scott. Jordan, like, if this somehow reaches Jordan Scott, you are amazing. You are an amazing person. So, yeah. The build after that was, in my opinion, like, a step backwards from the previous one. Because even though, like, there was, a certain amount of linearity to it, because you still have to beat all of the Beowulfs, and then you fight the frickin' Whitey Beowulf. That still happened, and that was still your goal. And, like, you could say it's computational non-linearity rather than traditional I don't know, something. But you could still, like, take them out of order, or you could, like, trigger more than one at once, and then you'd be fighting a group of Beowulfs instead of one Beowulf. And then, I remember I booted up and started, like, recording for that version of the, game, and I didn't like it, because it's like, it restricted your path to a literal linear line. Yeah. And the worst thing about it is that they gave you a barrier. They gave you a barrier. That was, no. I hated that so much. And instead of fighting, like, one enemy that, was, mid-level difficulty or high-level difficulty, you were either fighting, a bunch of really weak Grimm, or you got your balls rocked because a bunch of high-level Grimm were ganging up on you, and that needed some balance. But, they were trying out a new thing, and seeing if that was a direction that they wanted to go, and hopefully that's not hopefully there won't be barriers in the final build. So yeah, and now this is what this newest thing of the talking about the RWBY game is turning this video dark. Again, if the game came out and it was, the version that I'm talking about now that I didn't enjoy, it would still be fine. You know why? because it's still RWBY, and I love anything related to RWBY. I will buy anything with a RWBY label on it. One of the things that I was gonna talk about in the beginning, but then I just forgot. RWBY is actually getting. RWBY is the most backwards anime in existence, because it started with an English version and then saw a Japanese. Well, it's seeing a Japanese dub, in November, and now I kid you not, it is getting a manga adaptation. You can't write this stuff. You can't make this up. I am sad that I lack the talent to make this up. I don't know. I've been going for 15, 16 minutes here. But yeah, I should probably continue talking about the version of the game that's on Steam Greenlight and actually broke the record for the fastest greenlit game on Steam. Which, it speaks to, the level of engagement that Rooster Teeth fans definitely have. Where it's again, anything with a RWBY label on, I'm gonna buy. I don't even care. I finally have all 4 RWBY plushies on the way, shipping here, and a RWBY Mighty Wallet. Drinking soda is not good during podcast, yet I will still continue to drink it. So, it broke the record for Greenlight. And then I watched the No video advertising it on Greenlit, and I'm not gonna rail against the No, because I still think that Rooster Teeth can do no true wrong. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I do have to say, the first thing that shot into my mind when I was watching the No video was, where is Jordan Scott? Apparently he's not the game's director, which when I approved, when I hit the button, I want to greenlight this game, it was under the assumption that I've had all this time, is that Jordan Scott is still the one that's leading this project. Apparently that's not the case. And then probably the thing that is killing hype for this game for me, he started talking. And I'm not gonna rail against this guy who's very clearly a developer and a creative guy, but also very clearly not a trained PR guy. He has a good idea of what makes a good game, I guess. But the way he was talking about it, there are 2 ways that you could really interpret the way that, that conversation was going. Either he thinks that the viewers of the No know absolutely nothing about what a video game is or what RWBY is, or he knows nothing about what a video game is or what RWBY is. One of the 2 needs to be true for that conversation to make sense. I mean, he was talking about it being a Dynasty Warriors Left 4 Dead in the world of RWBY with MOBA style leveling. What do you even make of that? It doesn't process without me giving a chuckle. It's what? Imagine if you will, if Miles and Carrie walked out on stage for RTX for a RWBY panel, and just and you have to say it with because that's imagine if they walked out on stage we made this thing, it's half Soul Eater and half Spirited Away. We're not going to tell you how it's Spirited Away, other than that it has a story. It bears absolutely no resemblance to Spirited Away in any way, but we're saying that it is, and it has guns. What would you make of that? What would you make of that if that was their shtick? If they came out on stage and said that, you would be scratching your heads like, oh, huh? And again, I'm not gonna rail on the guy because I still think the gameplay looks great. What I don't think looks great are the environments. Those environments lose so much by not having flat tune shading. And I don't see how that's something that can be, like, looked over. Like, those environments don't look good compared to, those first few versions of the game that I was playing. Even, the original one, it was, a very, very early build that he made basically on his own, but it still had, a more believable backdrop that belonged to the world of RWBY as compared with the background for the Greenlight game. And I don't know if it's going to, be good or bad because I haven't played it. And again, even if it does turn out to have, like, those non-tune shaded environments, I'm still gonna buy it. Because I love RWBY, I love the game. As much as he's not a PR guy, he was, kind of funny looking back on that video. And, he seemed a lot more interested than I originally thought he was. But he is very much not the guy to be bringing up on stage as your PR guy marketing for this game. I don't know. And again, I'm going to say it. Talking about this and the gripes that I have and the concerns that I have are making this video a little bit darker. And I'm not sure how I feel about that because, as much as I am railing about it, and, like, there are probably a bunch of comments already down there saying how hypocritical I am for, saying, I'm not gonna rail on, like, these things and then railing on them. But all I want to get across is that I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. These are just fan concerns that a total RWBY fanboy has. And you take them with a grain of salt. Because, very admittedly, I have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. I don't know, if... Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. So... take it as you will. This is all me saying fan stuff. So yeah. What else? There's more RWBY stuff that I was gonna cover, and then I got detracted by, talking about all of the gripes that I have. The opening. The opening and actually, like, literally right before I, am recording this, the official Volume 3 trailer went up. And both of those blew me completely away. Like, take every negative thing that I've, said in this video so far and, like, flip it completely on its head. Because those two videos were freaking amazing. I heard people on Reddit and on, Rooster Teeth and etc. talking about how this is by far the weakest of the three openings. I actually think it's better than Volume 1, and I am opening myself up to a lot of flack saying that, but I also think it's really great for, like, one specific reason, and that it's not playing it safe. They could very easily just go with, like, safer, more, I don't know, lighter tone for the music and for the trailer. The opening. Volume 2's opening was still foreboding, and it still made you think, like, there's gonna be, action in this. But it was still, kind of a more uptone song. And something that I, always will go back to in my mind is that for some reason I'm one of the, like, very few people that like the song from the RWBY Volume 2 soundtrack, Sacrifice. I thought that was a great song. I thought it was, like, amazing. And I think it's amazing for the same reason that I think, what's the name of that song? I put it in the acoustic video that I did, but I can't remember it for the life of me. Besides the point. But it was experimenting with darker tones, and like especially the way that they, leave off that, opening. That's not playing it safe. You are going into darker tones and experimenting with, darker tones visually and audibly. And, I gotta say, I love it. I love, creative stretching. I love it when experimentation is being had, because that's when, the possibility for really great stuff, happens. Like, so many great things have come out of, out there, leaps of, should we do this? Like, imagine if Season 6 was just another episode of sitcoms in space. I'm talking, of course, of RWB. Sitcom within space. It could have just as well have been, another installment of Blood Gulch, or, just move it to a different location and have it be basically the same thing. But they took an experimentation and they said, let's see if we want to shift it to a more serious tone as compared with what we've previously done. And I think that, when you're doing that kind of thing, when you're saying, let's do this thing that we're not fully sure everyone's going to be fully behind, this, tonal shift, and see where it goes, because that's really great. And I'm going on and on about the same thing. It's because I'm really, really tired, because I spent, basically the past 24 hours doing a lot of work for a lot of other stuff that I was gonna, again, coincide with the release of Volume 3. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get this out today, being the day that I recorded it, or if this is gonna be pushed to tomorrow. Either way, I guess it's still kind of, in the same vein. I don't know. I still haven't talked about the official Volume 3 trailer. Okay, so I don't quite know what to make of, the first third of it. On one hand, it's just, reusing footage and audio from past seasons, mostly. On the other hand, it does create, this, tonal setup for the rest of the trailer, albeit, even though it's a short trailer. But jeez, I was I was fanboying all over the place the minute I heard, from RTX that Vic Mignogna is going to be playing a character. It's like, yep, that's done. Nobody can argue that this is an anime, that this isn't anime anymore, because this is totally anime. It has Vic Mignogna as a voice, and I was so excited to hear that he would be playing Crow, and then it's like, I hear Crow's voice in that trailer. I hear Crow's voice in that trailer, for the first, second. I just, just so captivated by how awesome it is. And the rest of that trailer is very awesome. And it showed some of the clips from the fight that I was, talking about earlier about, I really hope this is on finished animation, that this isn't the thing that they're going with. And it did look, the backgrounds did look a bit more muted than they did in that original video. Or maybe it was just me. And things did look a lot more snappy and fluid. And maybe that's just a byproduct of, trailer editing. I don't know. But I'm really, this is the critical mass for the Volume 3 hype train. And I am really excited for, everything that's going to be happening. I haven't had time to, really theorize about what's, gonna be happening this season, this volume. But, I'm just really excited for it. And I've been going for half an hour of your precious time here. So, think of any of the opinions stated in this video as total fanboy opinions from somebody that doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, take it with a grain of salt. You guys are pretty awesome. I'm gonna really hope that you're awesome down in the comments. So if you like this video, you can show that you like it by giving it a like, subscribing, adding it to your favorites, or most importantly, sharing it with a friend who you think may like it. With all that said, I will see you wonderful people next time.